the last teams are kind of trickling in, make sure that your team captain is sitting on the chair with the label on it. Thank you. announcement over and over again, but would team captains please sit on the seat with the sticker?
Ladies and gentlemen, good evening. There are a few housekeeping rules we need to go over before we begin. Bag breakfast will be available in the junior ballroom at the hotel starting at 7 a.m. When you check out, please visit the hotel lobby. Also, if you're missing any items or found any misplaced items, please visit the Lost and Found outside the JLab office on the second floor of the Priz. Ladies and gentlemen, please make your way to your seats and silence your cell phones. The 2021 JROTC Leadership Bowl Award Ceremony will begin momentarily.
Ladies and gentlemen, good evening. It's time! I welcome all of you to the 2021 Junior ROTC Leadership Bowl Award Ceremony. Are you ready to get started? Fantastic. Now, please rise for the playing of the National Anthem presented by the United States Army Brass Quintet.
Thank you. Please be seated. During our opening ceremony, Cadet Odaya represented the essay winners by reading her essay based on this year's theme, The Challenges of Online and In-Person Learning in a Pandemic Environment. Tonight, we have the pleasure of hearing another winning essay. Cadet Major Tristan Lee is a rising senior at Theodore Roosevelt High School in San Antonio, Texas. Over the past 3 years, he has served as a company first sergeant, company commander, and this year will serve as the battalion executive officer. Additionally, Cadet Lee was the commander of the Cyber Patriot team for 2 years, winning first and second place at the national level, and he is also ranked top 5 in his high school class. Upon graduation, Cadet Lee hopes to attend the Air Force Academy. Please welcome Cadet Major Tristan Lee.
The truly great leader overcomes all difficulties. The lack of this or that are only excuses. A real leader displays his quality in his triumphs over adversity. General George C. Marshall. During this past year of quarantine, I've seen many of my peers using COVID-19 as an excuse to settle for less in their classes, courses, and extracurricular activities. As such, while I do acknowledge that COVID-19 has drastically reshaped our lives and daily activities, I am certain that we can take what we have learned from online and in-person learning to advance ourselves and to grow, not only as students, but as people and as leaders. Following the onset of COVID-19 this spring and the resuming of classes this fall, I've spent most of my junior year participating in online learning. During my time in online learning, I've found that it comes with a number of advantages, such as having the ability to multitask activities, gaining more time with the elimination of commutes, and overall having increased flexibility through the ability to do work at my own pace and the ability to take mental breaks between classes. While these advantages make online learning thoroughly enjoyable, they are partnered with a number of disadvantages, such as increased difficulty in working on group activities and an overall disconnection between myself, my teachers, and my classmates. Keeping those characteristics in mind, what I dislike the most about online learning is the loss of connection. It is a different feeling when you're able to freely talk to people in the moment as compared to having to reach out to them personally. Nevertheless, while online learning has its advantages and disadvantages, so does in-person learning. Despite embracing distance learning as my main method of attending classes, I've explored the option of in-person learning and found myself reflecting upon my time attending classes this way. When thinking about the choice between distance learning and in-person learning, I found that in-person learning did carry the advantages of allowing me to see friends on a daily basis, getting me up and out of the house, and enabling me to form a connection with my teachers, as I would be able to freely ask questions and chat with them as I passed them in the hallway. While in-person learning carries with it a number of advantages, the disadvantages include that because we're still in COVID-19, we still have to attend Zoom classes. I would lose the flexibility of online learning, such as being able to go to the restroom at any point. And not all of my friends are attending in-person classes, so I wouldn't be able to see them even if I did attend. With that in mind, I find it necessary to address the elephant in the room, that the primary disadvantage of in-person learning is that you risk getting COVID-19. And while it is unlikely, the possibility is still there. Taking this into consideration, when comparing online learning and in-person learning, I found myself choosing online learning for the sole purpose of keeping my family safe in light of the pandemic. I fear the guilt I would feel if they were to catch the virus from me. Despite my decision to remain virtual, I try my best to make the most of online learning and to overcome the disadvantages associated with it by incorporating unique ways to challenge my circumstances. With the onset of learning virtually, I've grown as a person by coming to realize the power of ingenuity and the difference persistence can make. When distance learning was first introduced, the area that was hit hardest was my social life and friend group. My friend group of around 10 to 20 people is comprised of mostly introverts, and thus I found many of them falling off the grid as they did not like going out of their way to interact with people. After a few months of this, I finally had enough and reached out to them, proposing that we settle on a group activity so we can keep the friend group together and support one another as we go through the pandemic. That day, we decided to create a group Minecraft server, which is an online video game that allowed us to be able to get together and hang out, just like we used to, just in a different form. As my friend group and I experimented with our group Minecraft server, I realized our JRTC class was facing a similar situation of disconnection. And thus we created a group Discord server, Discord being an online chatting platform that allows people to stay connected. From these two experiences of recreating connections lost during the pandemic, I realized a characteristic of leadership I had never considered before. A leader is someone who is persistent, who will not let their circumstances define their situation. A leader will take what they have and use it to create something better through unique ideas and a whole lot of patience. Overall, online learning and in-person learning both carry their advantages and disadvantages. And while both have drastically changed the way I am learning, it has also made me aware of just how influential school can be. As a high school student, my life revolves around schoolwork, extracurricular activities, and the friendships I have created with my classmates, all of which have been disrupted by the pandemic. However, despite these disruptions and the challenges which accompany them, this pandemic has changed me personally, as I now have a new perception of what it means to be a leader. I have not let the pandemic bring me down, and I have not made excuses as to why my circumstances are the way they are. I have taken on the reins, stepped up to the plate, and right now I truly feel like a leader because I will not make excuses out of this pandemic. In reflection of General George C. Marshall's quote, "COVID-19 is the challenge I face, and as a leader, I will overcome it." Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Lee, for sharing your essay. I loved hearing your positive outlook when faced with adversity. Now, tonight, we are in for a real treat for our musical performance. They are the world-renowned quintet, and they also provide musical support for the leadership of the United States. They include all branches of government and to a wide spectrum of national and international events in order to connect the Army to the American people. Please help me welcome, from Washington, D.C., the United States Army Brass Quintet.
Well, thank you so much, everybody. We are very excited to be back playing for this event. We've done this a couple times in the past couple years, and it is always a really exciting event for us. You guys having fun? Yeah. Woo! All right. I hope y'all like brass quintet. So, that first piece was a typical opener for us from our classical repertoire, written by Johann Sebastian Bach. You may have heard of him. My Spirit Be Joyful. If you're really into it, you can go home and Google it on YouTube, and I'm sure it's there. We're going to move on. We got a short set for you guys, and our next piece we are actually going to need some help with. We were missing some crickets there. So, what we're going to need from you guys, short version? All right, so we are going to play God Bless America. Who's heard of it? Everyone. That's right. Everyone has heard of this. So, if you all could stand and join us and sing along with God Bless America. Oh, yeah. So, Sergeant Major over here, who has reminded me that I should mention that we have performed this about 2 years ago. It was October of 2019, and the Nationals were actually in the National League Championship, which is incredible. It was awesome. And we were able to be there at one of the games, and we got to play this piece, God Bless America, for the Nats, for all the fans in the stadium. And the great part about it was that every single one of them was singing along with us. It was an incredible experience for us, and we're going to recreate it right now. Nice job, everyone. You can take your seats. So, many of you may know, many of you may not know that up here we are actually active duty enlisted soldiers. And it is a real honor for us to be able to count ourselves among and to stand next to the great men and women who fight for freedom in this country. It is an even greater honor for us where we get to be the first in line to honor them and celebrate them when they come home. So this next piece that we're going to play comes from, the repertoire that we use for those ceremonies often. And this is the name of the piece is called Band of Brothers, and it comes from a documentary about World War II. And if you've seen it, you should watch it again. And if you haven't seen it, you should absolutely watch it. It's an incredible series. Really, it tells the story of World War II just in a great way. So I hope you guys enjoy Band of Brothers. So we don't have a whole lot of time to play for you guys, so we're going to keep rolling along. Our next song comes from a movie that actually came out before I was born, which makes me a little worried that some of y'all have not heard it or even seen it. So the piece that we're going to play from this movie is it's written by the famous John Williams, who's written other things such as Star Wars. I'm sure you've all seen that. But this comes from the 1978 movie, Superman.
On behalf of the men and women of the United States Army Band, we're stationed just across the water here in Fort Myer, Virginia. A lot of what we do is to provide support for our nation's fallen in Arlington National Cemetery. And I got to tell you, it's exciting for us to be here with you this evening. It's so great to be back out making music and sharing it with the young people that are the future of our craft. But a really important moment happened, at least in my view. And this past Monday, we were able to start honoring our fallen veterans in Arlington Cemetery with full military honors for the first time in 18 months. It's a proud moment for this organization. It's a proud moment for our nation. As our young staff sergeant said, we do wear the uniform, and it is very, very proudly. Up here on this stage, you're looking at well over 60 years of service to our country through music, and it is an honor every single day to make music with these men and the men and women of the United States Army Band. Thank you so much for letting us spend a little bit of time with you here this evening. I'm wondering, I see enough white shirts in the crowd. Anybody know the words to the Army song? Go Army, by the way, just in case there's anybody wondering, go Army. We're going to close our time with you here this evening with the Army song, which we will again ask you to join with us. But before we do, I want to make a special thank you to everybody that was involved with getting us here tonight. It's been 2 years. It's great to be back. Thank you to the entire organization here and the National Guard for what you do. And up here on stage this evening, we've got a great team for you. I just wanted to make sure we get those introductions as well. This is Staff Sergeant Greg Hamba from Rochester, New York. The senior producer for the United States Army Brass Quintet from Columbus, Georgia, that's Rick Lee on the French horn. Little Georgia love back there, love it. On trumpet tonight, we're so grateful for Sergeant First Class Kevin Gibo from Clearwater, Florida, have stepped in and helped us. Thank you for, on short notice, making time for us, and you sound great as always. That's Staff Sergeant First Class Kevin Gibo. If you got a chance to talk to our tubist, Charles, you'd recognize pretty clearly what part of the country he's from. We love, well, his last name's Gianelli, and that'll help you a little bit with the New York accent, right? Sergeant First Class Charles Gianelli is the heartbeat of the group. We're so grateful to have him with us again as well. From New York, New York, that's Charles Gianelli on the tuba. Forget about it. My name is Sergeant Major Terry Bingham, again on the men and women of the United States Army Band, and our leader, Commander Colonel Andrew Esch. It's been our pleasure. Will you please rise and sing along with the Army song?
Wow, that was amazing. I got chills. Let's hear it one more time for our U.S. Army Band Coach Zone. Lieutenant General Fogarty wanted to congratulate all of you tonight, but was unable to be here in person. We have a video of his well wishes that we are able to show you.
Greetings, cadets. I'm Lieutenant General Stephen Fogarty, the commander of the U.S. Army Cyber Command. And I want to take this time to congratulate you on your accomplishments at JLab these past few days. Regardless of the results, you should be very proud of what you've accomplished, being among the best cadets to represent Army Junior ROTC students across the United States. These past few days of competition support what you have learned throughout the year, and I'm sure your experience here has cemented your commitment to excellence. Now, as you leave this year's JLab, My hope is that all of you will continue to seize every opportunity to learn and grow. And remember, you are only limited by the limits you place on yourself. So be brave, be strong, be curious, and you'll always be among the best. Now, some of you will make some big decisions soon. Which college to attend? Perhaps you will decide to enter a service directly, or maybe go to a trade school. And as you make these life-changing decisions, reflect on what you've learned about leadership and about commitment to something bigger than yourself. This idea becomes very important as you come across future opportunities that won't only affect you, but will also affect your families, your friends, and the people you work with in the future. Safe travels back to your home state, and good luck in all that you do. Go Cyber and Army Strong.
Tonight, we are honored to have Ms. Rocio Ortega as our keynote speaker. Rocio Ortega was born and raised in East Los Angeles, California. She is a first-generation Mexican-American college student. Through the generous support of LAUSD's Army JROTC and a merit scholarship, Rocio attended Wellesley College in Massachusetts and graduated with a Bachelor of Arts in Political Science and Latin American Studies. She is currently completing her master's in Latin American Studies from Georgetown University's School of Foreign Service. Her professional career involves working in international development, youth leadership, and gender equity issues with the United Nations Foundation, advocating for girls' rights at the United Nations with Save the Children International, and presently works at Partners of the Americas on a USAID project educating Venezuelan refugee and migrant children in Colombia. She's passionate about gender equity, peace in post-conflict countries, and access to high-quality education for those from underrepresented backgrounds like her. Everyone, please welcome Rocio Ortega.
All right, well, I'm not gonna lie, I think that was a tough act to follow after that performance, but thank you all so much for being here today. I'm so excited to be here. My name is Rocio Ortega, and I'm gonna share with you all today 3 lessons that I think helped me in my young career. And when I say young, I'm literally like not that much older than you all, okay? So bear with me, I think you'll figure it out at the end of my speech. So I'll start off by saying that one of the first lessons that I learned very early on at your age was to surround myself with people who wanted to see me succeed. And I'll say that again so that you can actually grasp it. Surround myself or yourself with people who want to see you succeed. And like you, 10 years ago, I was wearing that Class B uniform, though I kind of missed out on the dress blues. I was still wearing the Army green, so I'm a little jealous right now. But I decided to join the Army Junior ROTC because I had 3 older siblings who were part of it, so I knew that this was destiny. But what I didn't know was that I was actually surrounding myself with people who wanted to see me succeed. And believe it or not, I actually made it up to battalion commander, so shout out to any of the BCs out here because it is not easy. And I will say that some of those people that I was surrounded by was actually my senior Army instructor, First Sergeant Eason, who actually told me about this opportunity today, and my Army instructor, Sergeant Spradling, who unfortunately passed away a few years ago, but you know what, for some reason, I'm feeling him in this room right now, so. And I would like to say that both of them helped me in ways that no matter what college prep program I joined, Junior ROTC was just the best one that I think prepared me not only for college, but for life. And just to give you an idea, the high school that I was attending was public school, Los Angeles Unified School District. My high school was about 3,000 students. It was so big, we had to take turns going to school. We had tracks. And our battalion, I remember at some point, was anywhere between 400 and 500 students, so it was big. And these 2 Army instructors would stay with us after school to write our first resumes, to go over our public speaking skills over and over again until we got it right. And of course, in the process, I didn't realize that we were actually learning to be leaders. And looking back, I realized that those precious moments being a high school cadet, I want them back, right? Because you reflect and you realize that you are surrounded by people that want to push you, that want you to succeed. And that is something that you should be looking forward to once you finish your cadet career here, or if you decide to pursue it further on. But what I would also like to say about this before moving on to my second lesson is that it's so important to just remember those people that are sitting next to you, that are sitting behind you, in front of you, because chances are you'll probably run into them later, or chances are is that you'll run into a fellow JROTC alum in the most surprising scenarios ever. So make sure you remember this moment. So the second piece of advice that I'll share is short, but maybe not so simple, and that is to be authentic. Now, I was always told, Rocio, you're so authentic. And I'm like, what does that mean? Well, later I found out that it was people telling me like, hey, you're being too direct. You're being too blunt. And you know what? Sometimes that's not a bad thing. That's just who I am sometimes. And this is something I really want to emphasize, because as you continue in your career, if you go to college, you go to job, it's so important to not lose sight of who you are and how your values are being tested every day. I'll give you an example. In some of the jobs that I've had, yes, I've worked with a lot of children, a lot of students, a lot of girls, and sometimes I felt like they were getting the pressure to fit in a box. And I know that can be hard sometimes when you're in high school. You're like, well, I gotta get the straight A's, I gotta join like 10 different extracurricular clubs, but what fun is that if you're not being yourself? So I strongly encourage you all to be a little bit reflective on what you all have learned this past week here, because it's not every day that you get to come to JLab, so please do cherish it. Now, if we had more time, I would have usually done like a workshop, but I'm just gonna leave you behind with 3 questions that I think you should ask yourself if you ever find yourself in that moment where you're like, what do I do next? Who am I? What do I do with my life? And the first question is to ask yourself, what are you passionate about? Meaning, what gets you mad? What gets you going? What's that issue that you're like, I have to do something about it? And for me, it was the fact that I couldn't bear the fact that there were more than 130 million girls around the world who were not in school. So I decided that that was an issue that I was actually going to pursue as a cadet, and gave an entire presentation, believe it or not, to my entire battalion. And I knew that that's when I was like, this is my call. Now, the second question you should ask once you figure out what you're passionate about is, what am I good at? And you are all amazing at something. I've seen some of the TikTok videos that like people your age make. So please, that is a skill. So once you combine what am I good at with what am I passionate about, then that's one of your answers. Maybe that's something that you should be pursuing. But moving along, the last lesson that I'd like to share with you all, and I think this is probably the most important one, is to always tell your story, because you never know who gets to hear it. Now, growing up, you heard in my bio, everyone was like me growing up, first-generation Mexican-American, Spanish is my first language, my parents are blue-collar workers, so everyone around me looked the same. But I kept asking, I was like, well, what is so special about my story? Everyone around me is literally the same. But this advice was actually given to me by one of my first internship supervisors when I was like 14. And I really didn't understand the meaning of sharing your story until I came to Washington, D.C. for the first time. And that was the first time that I actually stepped out of my bubble of East LA to go be a congressional page on the Hill. And that's when I realized that there were not that many people that looked like me. And so I had to ask, well, why is that the case? But ever since then, whenever I met people, I always tell them, well, this is where I grew up, this is what I want to do in college, I want to go to graduate school, I want to work in international development and help children, especially girls, go to school. This is who I am. Well, fast forward a few years later, I'm back in DC interning, and I get a phone call from an old internship supervisor asking me, what are you doing next week? And I answer and I say, well, you know, I'm interning this summer again. But little did I know that that internship supervisor was actually working behind the scenes and sent my story to the office of the First Lady, Michelle Obama, at the time. She was looking for a student to introduce her at the United Nations Foundation Girl Up Leadership Summit. And I think what shocked me the most was that somebody actually remembered my story by just talking simply. Now, later I found out that there were 2 other stories pitched to Mrs. Obama, but she chose mine, so good for me, bad for the other 2 people. I later found out who they were. But all that to say, I think that was just a great reminder of how far your story can go by just talking to people, by surrounding yourself with people that want to see you succeed, and of course, when you're just being true to yourself. So I'll just close off by saying that to please take advantage of every single learning opportunity. I hope you made a lot of connections here today because you are the top of the top. I know you all probably hear this, but believe me, you are the top of the top. And if I haven't emphasized this already, you will come across other junior ROTC alums. In my case, it was at work, and you best believe that we were the best team to get any project done. And if I can be of any help to you in the future, please come talk to me because I was in your shoes and I want to see you all succeed. So please do not be scared to talk to me, ask a question, whatnot. But all that to say, thank you all so much for being here listening to my story, and always remember to tell yours as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Ortega, for sharing some lessons for these young, impressionable cadets. Let's hear it one more time for Ms. Ortega.
Now, as you guys know, there are some awards to be given out tonight, but we would like to take just a moment to describe them first. We would like to start with a recognition of the 7 essay contest winners, who have all given us some wonderful insight into the challenges of online and in-person learning in a pandemic environment. Learning in person and remotely definitely wasn't easy, and our normalcy was completely flipped upside down. But hearing your words reminded us that we are never alone in our struggles. The next award presented will be the Colonel Carlos R. Glover Megahua Esprit de Corps Award. Throughout the week, we asked you to keep an eye out for the team who you thought showed the most participation, teamwork, and spirit. The team that was friendly, energetic, positive, and made you feel welcome here at the competition. This week, you voted for one team who you thought should win the Esprit de Corps Award, and we will announce the winner in just a moment. To my left, there is a table of gift bags for each of the competitors. The ones with an envelope contain some prestigious items, and the smaller ones without an envelope contain some snacks for you guys. The award you all will receive is called the MacArthur Award. In ROTC, it is presented only to the top 2% of cadets. In active duty, only 22 junior officers are selected to receive it. You are the only junior ROTC cadets in the nation out of 310,000 Army cadets to receive this award. You will also receive a signed personal letter from General Colin Powell, the previous Secretary of Defense and Chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff. Okay, now before we present any awards, we would like to highlight all of your achievements this evening. More than 5,000 cadets on more than 1,300 Army ROTC leadership teams began their quest to compete in the 2021 JLAB Leadership Bowl in November of 2020. You are the top 160 cadets on the 40 leadership teams that qualified to be here, and you have spent countless hours studying the JROTC curriculum. You have put your time, your energy, and your hearts into this program to be here today. And now, After days of testing, the top Army JROTC leadership teams in the nation have emerged. You all should be very proud of yourselves. You had to beat 97% of the Leadership Bowl competitors just to be here, and that is something that should receive a round of applause. Now, without further ado, would Colonel Smith please come to the stage to present these awards?
Before we begin, we are honored tonight to present one scholarship check to Cadet Paul Lee, going to the University of Southern California on a 3-year Army ROTC scholarship worth $180,000. We will now present medals to each of the essay contest winners. Lonnie Lamb, Abigail Reed, James Kennedy, Elizabeth Baca, Tristan Lee, Mariah Odaya, this year's 4th annual Colonel Carlos R. Glover Megahua Esprit de Corps Award winner is, from Houston, Texas, G.C. Scarborough High School. Job well done, G.C. Scarborough High School.
It is time to recognize all the amazing teams who have made it this far and qualified for this great national championship. Team captains, please come on stage to receive your team's award. From Somerville, Alabama, A.P. Brewer High School. From San Bernardino, California, Arroyo Valley High School. From Savannah, Georgia, Benedictine Military Academy. From Calumet, Michigan, Calumet High School. From Fisher, Texas, Canyon Lake High School. From Lewis, Delaware, Cape Henlopen High School. From St. Thomas, Virgin Islands, Charlotte Amalie High School. From Chickasaw, Alabama, Chickasaw High School. From Flagstaff, Arizona, Coconino High School. From Columbus, Ohio, Columbus South High School. From Lawrenceville, Georgia, Discovery High School. From Langdon, New Hampshire, Fall Mountain Regional High School. From Franklin, Tennessee, Franklin High School. From Fullerton, California, Fullerton Union High School. From San Francisco, California, Galileo Academy of Science and Technology. From Houston, Texas, G.C. Scarborough High School. From Greenwood, South Carolina, Greenwood High School. From Hiram, Georgia, Hiram High School. From Bishopville, South Carolina, Lee Central High School.
From Hinesville, Georgia, Liberty County High School. From Chicago, Illinois, Lincoln Park High School. From Miramar, Florida, Miramar High School. From Nixa, Missouri, Nixa High School. From Fort Worth, Texas, Northside High School. From Clarksville, Tennessee, Northwest High School. From Washington, D.C., Paul Laurence Dunbar High School. From Pickens, South Carolina, Pickens High School. From Princeton, West Virginia, Pikeview High School. From Richmond Hill, Georgia, Richmond Hill High School. From Seal, Alabama, Russell County High School. From Hyron, Maine, Sacopee Valley High School. From Fort Worth, Texas, South Hills High School. From Harvest, Alabama, Sparkman High School. From Toccoa, Georgia, Stevens County High School. From Tombstone, Arizona, Tombstone High School. From Wake Forest, North Carolina, Wake Forest High School. From Salisbury, Maryland, Wacomico High School.
And now, for the moment you have all been waiting for, the top 3 Army JROTC leadership teams. Are you ready? In third place, from Pasadena, Texas, Sam Rayburn High School. In second place, drumroll please, from Pembroke Pines, Florida, West Broward High School. And your first place, Army JROTC Leadership National Champions from Buffalo, New York, Hutchinson Central Technical High School. Congratulations, Hutchinson Central Technical High School. At this time, please stand for the retiring of the colors. Please help me to welcome Mr. Terry Wilfong, the president of College Options Foundation, to the stage.
So even I learn something every now and then. The gentleman that puts this on, the gentleman that pays for this, the gentleman that brings you to this event, that allows this to all happen, spent less than 1 minute on stage talking. I'll try to keep it to that. Colonel Smith, thank you very much for being the sponsor of this activity. Kids, students, cadets, this is the reason you're here. First and foremost, I can't tell you how impressed with the caliber of students that is being cranked out by these programs. It's amazing to me. I was never close to this good. I'm so impressed. I'm so proud that when the keynote speaker this evening, Ms. Ortega, showed up, she said, It looks like JROTC is taking over Washington, D.C. You do that by your presence. You do that by the positive message you guys push out there. You're not a normal high school program. You're not a normal high school student. I'm so impressed with what you do. Instructors, thank you so much for coaching, mentoring, guiding these kids to get to this level of leadership capabilities, of character. And it's so important. People see that right away. I can't tell you how many compliments I received on your demeanor and your actions while you were at this particular event. Thank you both. So if the lieutenants, brigade staff, from 1st Brigade representatives would please stand. You met them the first night. Please stand. Lieutenants, brigades, 1st Brigade programs. These people showed up 3 days before the event and took it over. They're here working for you. They've got a couple of more days left in them, but they take over this program. I can't thank them enough. Catholic University, Lyle Span, are you in here? Yes. Lyle, raise your hand, please. Lyle's the guy that puts on the show. Jacques Moore is probably not here, but if it had to do with rooms, facilities, or meals, then I got to tell you, I thought the dining facility was amazing. Yeah, huh? My staff, Lauren Conway, would you step up here for a second? Lauren Conway and her events team, stand up. MCs for the evenings, what a great piece. These people can't stand because all the lights will go off. Tech team back in the back, all volunteers, here for 6 days, putting on the lights, putting on the show, putting on the activity. Tech team, thank you very much. The VIB team, the guy we paid $180,000 to, Mr. Paul Lee. The whole guy in charge of VIP. All of you instructors know Wendy Darling. She got you here. She put in that effort. She's receiving kids tonight, so she couldn't be here with us this evening. Laura Hadley's in here somewhere. She helps me keep budgets straight. Oh, God bless her. That's a hard full-time job. Tom Tolbert, Colonel Tolbert. Where are you, sir? Step out here, please. Colonel Tolbert has spent more time in uniform than you are old. I think the first uniform he was in was at 12 years old, 12 or 13 years old, as a military high school or junior high school program, later commissioned in the United States, through ROTC, later commissioned in ROTC, SAI, DAI, for Atlanta Public School Systems for about 26 years. I think he's probably got somewhere around 47 years. He put on this leadership event. Everything you saw, he organized. Emily Donahue, if you'd come out here, please. And I'd actually like Emily Donahue on stage, but she won't come. Unfortunately, most of you don't even know her name. All the instructors do. I'm telling you, without Colonel Smith's drive and funding, you wouldn't be here but for Emily Donahue. I like to say I'm in charge of College Options Foundation. The easiest way to say it is, yeah, I'm in charge. I do whatever Emily says. Thank you, Emily Donahue. Both Ms. Ortega and Colonel Smith have agreed to stay for interviews, photos, and discussions. I thank you very much. I think, am I concluding? No, I'm apparently not. I'm getting one of these from Emily. No. Thank you very much. I appreciate your time.
Okay, just one last announcement before we let you guys go. Be sure you have your school's bag with those awards I was telling you about. And if you haven't received it yet, please go over to that table where the bags are sitting before you leave. But thank you guys so much for joining us for the 2021 Junior ROTC Leadership Bowl. Congratulations to you all, and have a wonderful night.